Hello and welcome to another edition of Business Insights. I'm Dwight Groom, your host. Today we're talking with Patrick Ellis, the President and CEO of the Murrieta Wildomar Chamber of Commerce. Our topic is, how does a chamber membership benefit you and your business? Welcome, Patrick.
Hi, Dwight. Thanks so much.
Let's start off, Patrick. How did you become the CEO, or how did you get in this industry?
That's a funny story, and it's kind of a common one in our industry as I fell into it. So I was on the board of directors for the Moore Park Chamber up in Ventura County. I had my own small business, had an insurance agency, was the incoming chair-elect for the organization. We had a staffing change. They ended up kind of leaving us at the last minute, and we weren't really quite ready for that. So I ended up kind of talking with the board and determined a way to work within the office to kind of help keep the doors open and the lights on and all that kind of fun stuff. Ended up doing more of the day-to-day, found out that I had a passion for this and kind of felt like this was what I was meant to do. And so I ended up selling off the insurance agency, went to full-time doing this, and the rest is history, as they say.
Well, how did you end up in Murrieta?
So when I was running the chamber up in Ventura County, I had an individual that I knew in the industry who was a retired executive from a chamber who was doing consulting with different chambers who were looking for CEOs, and he was doing some interim things throughout the state. And he had found out about the position here, had known me from interactions, and he kept pushing me. He goes, "I think that this would be a really good fit for you." The funny part is at first I kind of said, "No, I'm not so sure about that." But what ended up happening was he kept on me. I kind of looked more into it. I finally started doing my research about the area and what was going on. And once I started doing that, I found out how great this area is and decided, I got to really give this a shot. So decided to go ahead and apply, and, got hired on and moved the family down. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. So, yeah.
Well, we were talking earlier. Every chamber is subtly different. There's not any one chamber that you can say is the same as another chamber. They have different memberships and different goals. Mm-hmm. What are some of the primary products and services the Murrieta Wildomar Chamber offers its memberships?
Yeah, so we have a lot of different types of things that we do. Excuse me. Most of those, what they're based on is the business that we're working with. In our industry, we say if you've seen one chamber, you've seen one chamber. And the reason is because every chamber is a little bit different, because they have to adjust to the community that they serve, the businesses that they serve, the legislature that they're involved with. So there's a lot of different aspects to that. As far as the Murrieta Wildomar Chamber goes, our focus is we kind of look at a lot of different things. Obviously, networking is a huge aspect of what we do. We do mixers, we do our chamber breakfast monthly. We put on a lot of different type of events that give people an opportunity to network, get to know other people, whether it's business to business, whether it's business to consumer. And we keep all those different things in mind when we create those different opportunities. But then we have a lot of large businesses that we serve in this community. So with those businesses, we do a lot of political advocacy. So whether it's we go to every single city council meeting, I was just up in Sacramento last week working on workforce development issues with our legislature, visiting with all of our electeds from around the area. We have our legislative council, which meets once a month, which is a culmination of 5 of the local chambers working together on legislative platform issues that we can then take positions on, whether in support of or opposing bills that are going through Sacramento, or on a federal level. So it kind of depends on the business that we're working with as to what are the different types of tools or opportunities that we create for those businesses. So there's a lot of different types of things, but we adjust to the business. So we don't say we can't go into a business and say, hey, look, would you like to invest in our organization? Because we do networking groups, and that's what we talk about, because that's not applicable to every business. So what we talk about is what is your need as a business, and then let them know then, well, here is what we do that may be of value to you and your organization.
One of the goals of the Business Insights is to help those, say, larger businesses or CEOs collaborate. And one of the seminars that we attended several months ago, they were talking about the success of the Bay Area in getting manufacturers, say, to actually talk to one another. And not just the CEO to the CEO. What they've done up north was the CEO brings his production manager or his lead technical director. And why they were so successful up in the Bay Area was because they were collaborating and talking among not only the CEOs but some of their key employees. 3 and 4 other companies were developed from that. So, you know, 2 of my staff members talked to another company's 2 staff members and say, "Oh, you're working on this, we're working on that. What if we did this together?"
Right.
And other companies be formed. What is your chamber or the Murrieta Chamber doing to maybe help in that collaboration, knowing that this region is really looking to be a pharma medical type region, but just what are you doing to maybe help that collaboration?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one of the things that we focus a lot on are those specific things is with manufacturing and the healthcare industries specifically. So we work extremely closely with the City of Murrieta and now with the City of Wildomar as well. But we also work with, Gina Gonzalez up in the City of Menifee, Grant Taylor up in the City of Lake Elsinore as well. And what we try to do is on the manufacturing side is we've worked for the last few years on bringing manufacturers together on a pretty, like a quarterly basis. We do a breakfast roundtable at times. It depends on what it is. To do exactly what you're saying, bring all the right people together, get them talking, find out what it is that they're looking for and what they need. When we first started doing this a few years ago, what we determined was there was a huge need for entry-level workforce. So what we were able to do is help start collaborating the business sector and bringing it together with MSJC and our local school district. And both of those entities have opportunities to create training programs for businesses here locally to get their entry-level workforce trained to a level that they need. Most of them don't have a problem with training their employees, but what they need is they just need them to have a certain skill set walking in the door. And that's a big challenge. So that was one thing that we were able to kind of help get that going. Another thing too is we brought the manufacturers together not too long ago, and we have a new manufacturer coming in, which is Muehlhauser Steel. And they were connected up with CryoEquip in Murrieta, who does big LNG storage facility containers. Well, they just started talking, and now all of a sudden they're going to start working together. Muehlhauser Steel is going to be supplying product to CryoEquip, and they're literally almost next door, which is fantastic. So the more we can do that, and then working with Scott at the City of Murrieta, we also do a quarterly medical luncheon where we bring all of the people from the healthcare industry together. The last one we were at the new Springs rehabilitation facility off of Jackson there behind Sam's Club, and we had a huge turnout. We had people from all of the different hospitals, all of the different medical groups, Rancho Family Medical Group. I mean, it was a full room, but the cool, unique thing was that energy that was created in that, that people coming together and working together, and you could see it where Rancho Family Medical Group with Dr. Combs was going to be one of the doctors who was there helping Springs, the Springs facility. And the more and more we can do that, bring that together, create that ecosystem for this, it just keeps growing. And that the hope is then it just keeps snowballing, and we just need to be there to help. And then once we kind of put it all together, we just get out of the way,
Can you tell me what is your relationship with the city, and how are you working that relationship to help your members?
Sure. So obviously our relationship with the City of Murrieta is the longer one, because obviously we've been working with that city much longer. One of my goals coming in as the CEO for the Murrieta Chamber was to create a good, strong working relationship with our city. Unfortunately, when I came in, there was not a good relationship at that time. We did have, we had a contract for services in the past prior to me coming on board. But I've always kind of had this mindset is that sometimes a contract for services is not always a good thing. If you can come to a point where there are certain things you can work on together with a very specific contract in mind, I think then that works well. But I think sometimes those contracts can be a little more difficult to manage with the political atmosphere that we're in. So, you know, I look at it as the more we as an organization can stand on our own, the better off we are. Excuse me, the more willing we are to work with the city, and the more willing the city is to work with us. Because we can have that opportunity to disagree on something, and there's nothing then that's going to be, you know, questioned. Yeah. Right? And so because of that, it's given us an opportunity to work very, very closely together. You know, obviously there are certain things that, you know, our city does that are very beneficial to business. And that's what we're trying to make sure that they do and they understand. The more they do that, the better off everybody is. We're lucky too is that we have a city that gets that. We have a really, really good upper management team at the City of Murrieta right now, which is very unique. Probably, you know, the most economically development forward thinking city. So that's very, you know, very neat to work with on a day-to-day basis. The economic development person, Scott Agajanian, a lot of people know he used to work for me, so it's very easy to work with him. And we have a lot of the same things. Typically, really almost everything that we work together on, it benefits both of the organizations. So there's really not a lot of animosity there. Now, we have disagreed on certain things, but we have created a relationship where we can disagree and it doesn't hurt anything else that we do. So I think having that is critical. We're now in that process of building that up with the City of Wildomar. I just had lunch with Ben Benoit and Gary Norquist on Monday talking about different things that we can work on together. Things such as going to the ICSC show this year, which the City of Wildomar hasn't done. Getting them out there, getting them more forward in trying to attract more, you know, retail or development projects to the city. We're also talking about working with them on their State of the City this year. So it's creating a relationship that they understand where we're coming from, that we do have their best interest at heart, that, you know, yes, if we think that they're going down the path of something that's going to hurt business, we're going to bring it to their attention, and we're going to fight for the businesses, but we're not going to do it in an adversarial way.
And speaking about Wildomar, many chambers have tried to merge and done it unsuccessfully. And part of that reason is not just the chambers, but those relationships with the different cities. And cities don't always like to play ball with other cities. Can you tell me what's the relationship with the City of Wildomar and maybe cities in the area, like you mentioned, Menifee?
Yeah. So the neat thing with the relationship between Murrieta and Wildomar is, and most people in this area know, excuse me, Wildomar is not an area that is going to have huge development. They're not going to have huge manufacturing come in. They are going to be more of that rural bedroom community, and they realize that, they've accepted that, and they understand that. But they also know that there is a role for retail and some economic development interests within that city. At the same time, Murrieta knows that Wildomar is never going to really steal anything from the City of Murrieta. So they look at it as more of like a, you know, a little brother, little sister kind of relationship, in that they're not going to do anything that's going to hurt the City of Murrieta. If anything, and as our city understands is that we're all very, very interested in creating jobs. We just had a job fair last night that we worked with the City of Murrieta and the City of Temecula with closely on. And we had 50 plus businesses at this job fair, and the focus of it was local businesses hiring local talent. You know, all of the businesses that were there were here local businesses, and the idea was we've got too many people that are commuting 1 to 2 hours every single day for work. We want to get that reversed. We want those people to stay here. We want them to have a better quality of life. We know how special this valley is. The more that they're here, the better off we all are. And so our focus is how do we get more people working in this valley? So if a business moves to Wildomar, the city of Murrieta understands, though, that still benefits Murrieta, because that means people here locally get to work local. That means, there's jobs moving into this area. But all those people are going to utilize the services, whether it's in Wildomar, whether it's in Murrieta, whether it's Menifee, wherever it might be. And so that relationship, I think, is really, really good. I mean, I think it was shocking to a lot of people when we did finally go through with the merger. We had every single one of our city council members in Murrieta was like, this is a phenomenal thing. You're right, there's not a lot of cities that would always have that kind of mindset. But I think that too plays into that idea of the 5 cities that are down here work so closely together. The 5 city managers now work hand in hand on a lot of different types of things. And I think you can see that more than any other time in the history. I mean, since I've been here, but I talked to a lot of people who've been here for years and years, and they've never seen anything like it. So it's really neat.
Now, the Murrieta-Wildomar Chamber is growing quite rapidly. It's one of the larger chambers in the region. What do you contribute that success to? What are you doing right that maybe other chambers are struggling with? And do you have any words of wisdom?
I think that, one of the things that we focus in on is really, really listening to our members. Whether it's, the CEO for Southwest Healthcare, or it's the Mary Kay rep. Every single one of them has a voice within our organization. And I always like to say, as I always bring it to people's attention, is in our organizational chart is at the top of that chart, it's not our board of directors, it's not me, it's our membership. Our membership is the driving force for our organization. So we talk to our members on a regular basis. We survey them, we kind of ask for their feedback on things. And we're going to actually be doing some new things too with that as well. But we really want to make sure that we're doing what is important to our membership. To me, that's extremely, extremely important. The other part of it too is we have a written rule now. It used to be an unwritten rule, but now it's a written rule in our offices, is that everything that we do, we're going to have fun doing. Because if you can't have fun doing it, it ain't worth doing. We think that you can be very, very professional, you can be very business oriented, but it does not prevent you from having fun doing it. I think that aspect kind of then plays into this, energy within all of the different things that we do. From our lunch with friends to when we do a member 101, which is like for all of our new members, we have fun with it. We try to do different things. The other part of it too is I have a saying in our office, and all of my staff know this, is that I always say is I want to fail, and I want to fail big. And the reason I say that is if you fail at something, that means you're trying something new. You're trying something different. Failure does not necessarily mean, is not a negative thing. It is if you don't learn from it, but if you learn from it, you grow from it, you're able to, take that experience and take your organization to the next level. I think that it's a huge opportunity for your business.
Well, that was kind of my next question, was culture is king in any business.
Yeah.
And you kind of talked about how you're setting your culture for your chamber. Mm-hmm. What about the culture for your members, say? What are you trying to do to help develop that same culture that you're doing for the chamber for your members?
Well, one is obviously is if we create that, we lead by example. So if we show that and show them this is what's possible, then hopefully that speaks volumes. With our members, though, again, we kind of take it also as an individual approach. We work with a lot of our different businesses almost on a one-on-one basis. We've had times where we've had businesses that come in and sit down with our entire staff, do a roundtable, find out, they're struggling with something and they need help. And it's one thing to sit down and say with myself, but I only look at things from a certain level typically, whereas, someone else in my office may look at it from a totally different angle that I would have never looked at. So having that different mindset in looking at different issues or challenges that businesses face is really important. But having said that too, is that that's one thing that we don't stop looking at. We were talking a little earlier about a conference, our annual conference that we just, I was able to take our whole staff to, which is our Western Association of Chamber Executives annual conference. At that, we kind of do what we're just talking about is what are the best practices? What are things that are that are successful? What do you see as future trends? We take all those things and bring them back and put that into practice within the organization, and we work with businesses. I mean, we have, I'm going to say we probably have 50, 60 people come through our doors on a daily basis for all sorts of different reasons.
Well, there's a term today in the business industry called key performance measurements. Can you tell me how are you measuring your key performance indicators, and are you meeting those goals?
So a couple of the things that we keep track of, one obviously is member retention. And that's a tricky one because with the chamber, typically you have a lot of new members that join are usually new people into business. And most people know that, a lot of new businesses, 50% of them are going to be out of business within the first couple of years. Yeah. So retention is one of those indicators that we watch very closely, but we have to evaluate it based on that at the same time. So that's a tricky one. But we have systems in place through our organizations or associations that we belong to that can help us track that. And we've been good at that, but we've actually just gotten better. This past year, our team, Mike and Kim specifically in the office, worked on a full retention plan that we now put in place, which goes above and beyond what we've done in the past, which is now doing much more outreach to our members on a regular basis to really make sure that we're helping them before it gets too far down the road, that they don't, because sometimes small businesses have a tendency to be afraid to ask because they feel like, that they don't want to seem like they're failing. So we're trying to be much more proactive in that approach. We've seen huge successes in that so far. The other part of it in our organization is we look at it, and so in the chamber world, one question that always gets asked when we were at conference and stuff that really just bugs me is everyone loves to ask, how many members do you have? Well, it's a very arbitrary number because you can have 1,700 members, but that doesn't tell me anything about your organization because you have to look at this as a business. So we're a nonprofit, but all that is a tax designation. What we need to focus in on is it's revenue. Where are we at revenue? Where's our budget? What are we predicting? And how do we keep growing different sectors of our budget? That's where our key indicator is. Whereas I think a lot of businesses should be looking. It's not, you're not looking for how many customers you are. You have to look at your customers. What is your acquisition for that customer? What is that cost into your bottom line? So for us, it has a huge key indicator for us has always been our budget. Where are we at? Where are we growing? What's hurting us? Those types of things. And we've been, thankfully, we've been extremely successful with that over the last 5 years.
A follow-up question is, there's always challenges in any business. What's the biggest challenge you think the chamber or chambers are facing today?
That's a really good one. Actually, I think specifically for our industry, it's how do we stay relative in a day and age where social media, everything is online. People look and go, well, chambers, that's just it's an old boys thing. It's just a networking thing. So it's constantly trying to make sure that we're staying ahead of the game. One of those things that I've believed in is that chambers are extremely, extremely important to all the different communities that they serve, regardless of how big or small they are, regardless of how many different types of programs they have. Each one of them is extremely important. There's the old saying that Ronald Reagan said, back when he was running is that, no community is going to be any better than its chamber can let it be. And I truly believe that. I think the chambers can be so integral to the success of a community. And so we have to keep pushing and keep thinking about that. And so that's why I have to keep hiring younger people so that they keep pushing me and making sure that we're running in that direction.
Well, we talked a little bit earlier in the program about collaboration and developing collaborative efforts and how important that is, especially how effective it was in the Bay Area. One of the issues that's always, in my opinion, affected this region was the lack of collaboration. What's your opinion on collaboration in the region, and where do you think it needs to go, or where do you hope it would go?
Yeah. I'm a huge believer in collaboration. I think the more we all work together, the better off everyone is. You know, the whole, rising tides lifts all ships. One of the things I alluded to it earlier is that we have 5 city managers now down here in Southwest Riverside County that are all working together, that are getting along, that kind of see that ultimate vision. The other thing too is you have, the 5 major cities have all kind of finally found their part within Southwest Riverside County. Each one knows where they're at, who they are, what they're doing, what they're trying to attract. I think with each one of them kind of figuring that out, that makes it easier for them to work together. Then last year, the EDC was able to kind of bring everyone together with the hope of creating this regional marketing branding idea. And so they were able to make it a public meeting, bring certain electeds together from all of the cities, the city managers, and a lot of the key stakeholders. It was a really good meeting. What I would like to see is to see that continue, because I do think that can be hugely important for this region. There's incredible opportunities to attract businesses to this area through expansion, or relocation, whether it be from San Diego, Orange County, or what have you. But I think having everyone working together will be that linchpin that really kind of takes that to the next level. We've started to see certain things happen, but I think that there is a huge opportunity with them coming together and working together on that branding campaign for it to take it, to that point of explosion for this area.
Well, final question. If our viewers wanted to get a hold of you, or other chambers would like to talk to you, or other cities, how do they get a hold of you?
So you just you can email me at, it's patrick@mwcoc.org, or you can go onto the chamber website, which is mwcoc.org, and find my information there. You can give me a call. My phone number's on there. I do not have a problem talking to anyone or sharing anything. As I said to you earlier today, is I'm an open book. I think that the more we all work together, the more we share with each other, the better off everybody is.
Well, Patrick, I want to thank you for your time. This was very informative, and like for all my guests, take the time to reach out to our guest. They have a lot to offer you and in assisting you in growing your business. I'm Dwight Cromie. Thank you for watching today's program.